Hey guys, what's up everybody? I am trying something a little bit different. Rather than do like a Zoom call where I teach a lesson or I don't know, a assignment I might give you in Google Classroom. I know that you've been learning a lot of new skills kind of while we've been away, but I figured it'd be kind of fun. Why not just teach you guys something that I know how to do, and why not put it on YouTube, because it seems to be where you all like to go to kind of see and learn new stuff. So today, Mr. Piercey here, I'm going to teach you all how to juggle. I have no idea how many people are watching live. I think last I checked was like 20 or 30 of y'all, which is pretty cool. But if you have a question, or if you have something like me to follow up with you later, there's that live chat. That side, there's that live chat going on. You go ahead and put it in there, and I'll follow up kind of once we are done here. All right, so the first thing you're going to need to juggle, you're going to need some type of juggling ball. Now, I could have gone and got my really fancy ones, like kind of the ones maybe you've seen like a clown juggle in the circus or something. Those, to be honest, I just didn't want to use those today. I wanted you all to know that when you juggle, you can do it with kind of anything that you have around your house. So in the case of this, I just went and grabbed the tennis ball. I'm a big baseball fan, so I grabbed a baseball that I found actually, I think I found this in the field behind our school. And then I've got just another baseball here. I've also got a wiffle ball, another tennis ball, just different things that we can kind of play with. All right. So when they do it in a cartoon, a lot of times they'll do what's called circle juggling, which if you don't know what circle juggling is, it's when the balls kind of travel around in a circle in your hand, which to be honest, this is actually really difficult to do. The trick to juggling is to never, if you've never done it before, the trick to juggling is you always want to start with one. You always want to start with one ball. And remember, this is kind of going to be on YouTube, so once this live stream is over with, maybe there's somebody out there who can do this in, learn how to juggle in 5 minutes. But, the nice part about YouTube is you can go back and you can watch this later, right? So anyway, so the trick to juggling is you start with one ball in one hand, and all you do is you just toss it to the other. So usually you want to start with what's called your dominant hand, which, I'm a righty. Maybe on YouTube this is like flipping it so it looks like it's being tossed from my right hand and my left hand, but I'm a righty. So you want to start with the ball in your right hand, and you want to toss it from one hand to the other. Now the trick is you don't want to toss it too high. You know how tall Mr. Piercey is, and you don't want to toss it too low. So usually what you want to look for, you want to have the peak of your juggling, you kind of want it to come right up here to eye level, so right about there. So you just toss from one hand to the other. So I just tossed it from my right hand to my left, and then all you do is just toss it back. And you just kind of keep doing this. Now, if you notice, I've been juggling since my freshman year of college, so that was, we'll just call it a long time ago. What did you all do your freshman year of college? I learned how to juggle. But the trick is you just kind of do this till it kind of feels natural. I know a lot of you, maybe, you still might be this is still, a skill that you're working on. But really when you're juggling, all you're doing is just tossing from one hand to the next. And if you notice, I'm not even looking, my eyes are not looking at my hands, just because I've done it so much. I kind of know where the ball's going to fall. And rather than looking at my hands, I'm actually looking at the peak of where the ball is. So I'm able to go and kind of just move my hand where they need to be. By the way, I'm learning that it's very hard to do this when you're doing a live stream, because I'm watching myself on this camera, and it's kind of hard to juggle, to look at myself in the camera and look at my hands, or try to juggle and catch a ball at the same time. All right, so now once you kind of get the feel for juggling with one ball, that's kind of tossing from one hand to the next, then you want to introduce a second one. Now this is where it gets tricky. I can promise you that there's going to be some people out there, actually probably most of you, if you've never juggled before, when you toss it from one hand to the next, you probably will drop it when you introduce the second ball, and that's fine. Juggling, it's really more about something called muscle weapons by memory. So anyway, so when you're juggling, when you've got two balls like this, I got a baseball in one hand, and I got my tennis ball in my left. I'm still going to start with my dominant hand. So I'm going to toss this baseball up in the air, and I'm going to toss it to my left hand. Now this is where it gets tricky. When I throw this in the air, still going to try to aim for this peak height right here. But the second that this ball is about to land in this left hand, I'm going to toss this tennis ball to my right hand. So I'm going to try to show you what that looks like, and if you are kind of playing along at home, or if you're watching this video later, feel free to do it, maybe pause it, go back, do it again. I'm going to show you how it works. So I've got my baseball in one hand, I'm going to toss it to my left hand, and just before this ball hits this hand, I'm going to toss this one to my right. So watch one more time. So baseball, toss, and then right before it hits, throw this. So here we go. 1, 2, catch. All right, so I'm gonna do that one more time, and if you're doing it along at home and this is the first time you've ever juggled before, probably you just dropped them on the ground. So I'll give you a couple seconds to pick those up. Pro tip, by the way, when you're learning how to juggle, once maybe after this video is over with, you'll notice that when you drop a tennis ball, it tends to go everywhere. So 2 quick tips for when you're learning how to juggle. First off, the easiest thing, get some hacky-sacks, because hacky-sacks, they don't roll away. Or if you have like a bed or a couch, if you kind of stand next to the couch and practice juggling over that bed or over that couch, when you drop the ball, because you will, just like with any skill, you probably drop it from the start, but when you drop the ball, you don't have to bend down to pick it up. You can just, you don't have to bend all the way down, rather you can just, reach down with your hand, pick it up off the bed. All right, so I'm going to practice doing these first 2 tosses here. So baseball, tennis ball, right before this one hits, going to throw this one. So let's try this. If you notice, I'm counting. That a lot of times will help too. You go 1, 2. So here we go. 1, 2, catch. One more time. Ready? 1, 2, catch. Caught them both. One more time. 1, 2, catch. Now what I'm going to do, let me tilt this down a little bit so you can see my hands a little bit better. Now what I'm going to do, right, I'm still, I know some of you, you're like, but you've got that third ball. When are you going to introduce that one? Not yet, because you've got to get the pattern down first. So baseball, tennis ball, I'm just going to toss 1, 2, 1, 2. I've been throwing with this hand to start with. Now I'm going to try throwing with my opposite hand to start with. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Catch. 1, 2. Catch. Now with the left hand first. 1, 2. Catch. Back to the right hand first. 1, 2. Catch. 1, 2. Catch. And the more you do it, you start to realize that there's a spot where that third ball could go, because when you're learning how to do it, I know we might have some people watching who are musicians. Juggling, it's all about timing and muscle memory. And when you have 3 balls that you're kind of using, you're always counting. It's like a 3/4 measure in music. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So watch. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Without that third ball in there, you can figure out and kind of see where that third toss is. Now, I understand if you're watching at home or if you're watching this video later, you're probably not at the point where you can count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And more than likely, if you're watching this in your living room, you are probably scattering around on the floor. Maybe you just tripped over your little sister who's on the floor playing, or maybe you accidentally dropped the tennis ball on her head. But the point is, it just takes practice. So when you're juggling with 2, one more time, it's 1, 2, and you can almost feel where that third toss is going to go. So I'm going to introduce the third ball right now. I've got a wiffle ball here. Again, you don't need anything special to do it. I've got a wiffle ball because it's just one, I like baseball, but it's also just a thing that I happen to have around my house. I can hold it in my hand so you can juggle it. So another way to think about juggling when you start to introduce that third ball is you always are going to be holding in your hands two things, and the third ball is always, one ball is always going to be in the air, traveling from one hand to the next. So let me try to slow that down. And usually when I do this, I try to use, the sky above me, but it's kind of hard to see, kind of on this little screen right here. So I'm going to try to show you how it works. Another thing that's pretty tricky when you first start off juggling is you're going to start by holding two juggling balls in one hand and another ball in your other hand. So it might be kind of tricky if you're like a fifth grader, maybe your hands aren't as big as a grown-up's to hold two different juggling balls at once. But you've gotta, it just takes a little bit of practice. So what you do, start from one hand to the next. So what you do, you just start counting. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And eventually you'll kind of reach the point where, you're not even thinking about it anymore. Now again, I've been juggling for 20 years, so, I've had a little bit of practice with this. So if I wanted to say switch one baseball out for another, I could do that. But if you slow it down, there's always one ball in the air, and in my hands I'm always holding the other two that I'm kind of tossing around. Now you might have, just to kind of show you some of the things that you can do with juggling, kind of once you learn how to do it. Maybe you've been to the circus and you might have seen like a juggler with, I don't know, like these are called juggling clubs. One of these years I'm actually going to start a juggling club at school, but I think only because I like the pun, the juggling club pun. So the trick to juggling, right? Remember, you always have two things in your hand, and then the third one is just going to be traveling from one hand to the next. So in the case of this, I've got two juggling clubs. Now, with juggling clubs, they kind of spin a little bit, so that's something that takes a little bit of practice. But just like with the tennis balls, the more you do it, better you're going to get at it. So start with two clubs in one hand, one in the other. I'm going to try to turn myself sideways because juggling clubs they don't look as cool when you go straight on. So I'll start from there, then I'll turn to the right. So two clubs in one hand, one in the other. Just going to toss from one hand to the next. I might drop these. Feel free to laugh at me if you want, because it's funny, I guess, to laugh at your teacher. But anyway, okay. So here we go. Juggling, toss. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3, 1. There you go. Okay. Throw that one on the ground to start with. But again, those clubs, it's the exact same pattern as when I had three balls, right? Because I start with two in one hand, I've got a third in the other, and when I'm juggling, I'm just tossing from one hand to the next. Now, if you're starting to learn how to do this, my friend who taught me, my best friend from college, he told me that how to juggle once you can do 9 different tosses. So if you can toss 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, you've kind of figured it out. So one more time, 2 in one hand, 1 in the other. Start throwing with this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's it. It just takes practice. I would recommend getting, some hacky-sacks, You might have seen like a juggling kit. A lot of times, sometimes they mark up the prices on those a little bit. 3 tennis balls will do it. But really, the more you practice, the better you'll get. So I wanted to end with kind of a cool little thing that I learned how to do in college. Like I said, I've been juggling for 20 years. I can do some fun tricks. I don't know if this video takes off. I can definitely do some stuff with that later. I can show you all some cool juggling tricks that you can do. But I also learned how to do this. So I'm going to walk off camera for a second and get something. I'll be right back. So sit tight. Be right back. Just getting something ready. Getting a few things ready here. Okay. So, kind of the other trick. Not yet. 1 second. So again, once you figure out the pattern for juggling, you can pretty much juggle anything, including these flaming torches right here. So I'm going to step away from the camera. I'm going to light these on fire. There you go. Now keep in mind, I've been doing this for a long time, which means, I have a little bit more practice. So I definitely would not, go online today and try to find some juggling torches. You can hear them. They're kind of fun. But as with anything, guys, there is obviously like a safety issue here. Keep in mind, I've been doing this for a long time. There's probably a good chance that I'll drop these just because, you can hear them. They're not that easy to toss, but we're going to go ahead and give it a go. Again, if I drop it, these will not catch the grass on fire, although hopefully they don't catch me on fire. So here we go. Juggling 3 flaming torches. Same pattern, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. There you go. Ta-da! All right. So anyway, keep practicing. If you all watch this video later, feel free to go back and watch it. That's kind of the fun part of YouTube, able to go back and kind of rewatch to learn those skills. I'll try to maybe next week hop on again, teach you all something new. Those flames are kind of pretty intimidating. Hopefully the wind doesn't get up too much, but thank you all so much. We miss you. Keep learning new stuff. All right. Bye.